What? Wait a minute. Oh, dear God. Oh, my God. My camera is not coming up. I think you guys can hear me, but my camera is not coming up. Let me see if I can reset it. This is what happens whenever I attempt to set everything up and walk away from the computer. So I have no camera. Let me see if it comes up there. No, it doesn't come up there. Crap. Let's see here. Let me figure something out here. So stand by one. Okay, this is problematic. Do I have a picture? Is there a picture? Test 1 2, test 1 2. In theory, my camera has reset. All right, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. I had to reset my encoder. Video and sound. Thank you very much. So as is typical, I'll just say this. If you guys can hear and see me, give me a 1. So I know. Yeah, Lyle says fail. I know. It's like, dang it, Duane, I thought you were a professional. Okay, so I got a couple of 1s. All right. That freaked me out. I went and hit the button and it was like black. And I'm like, oh, dear God. Welcome, guys, to my standard Tuesday live stream. The graphic on this said 29, but I think, in fact, it's the 30th live stream of the year. Today's topic is going to be how to move forward. This topic was inspired by one of my first few client calls, and hopefully you will like this topic, and I've structured it in a way to try to keep the flow going a certain way. So hopefully this will, I kind of done these in the past, so we'll see how that works. But before I get into that, I have to do my normal spiels, my normal stuff. And let's see, let me do this. So first things first, I am a disclaimer, not a disclaimer, but to do a disclaimer, I am not a therapist nor an attorney. I'm an individual much like yourself who've developed some tips and techniques that have helped me over the course of this just joyous experience that I share with you, and I hope to help you do the same thing. The other thing I always like to mention is you can be anonymous online, and you can change your YouTube name to something private. Or actually, I realize that some people are changing it to other names altogether, and that is an excellent idea. It's where it still looks like a real name, but in fact it's not. That's too low, so I have to raise that. That's the last time I'm going to touch that. The other thing I always like to mention is diagnosis of an individual with a personality disorder can only be done by a clinician in a therapeutic environment under proper care. So be really careful whenever you start throwing around terms about what you think your ex may or may not have. Unless you, of course, have a diagnosis from a professional, well, that's a different story. But be cautious about that. You don't want to get yourself in trouble, and you don't want people to look at you like they think you're crazy because you are trying to diagnose your ex with a personality disorder. So be careful of that. The other thing I always like to mention is if you want to get a hold of me during this, well, my email just popped up. That's annoying. If you want to get a hold of me during let me try that one more time. There we go. During the live stream, if you go into the chat and you go and you type DSD, not Duane, but DSD, it will highlight the channel name. You can select me and say hello. And then it will highlight you in orange, which makes it really super easy for me to see. And if you have a question, please put question. The other thing you can do if you want to support the channel and you find some value and you want to buy me a coffee, because I always love coffee, you can do the super chat. You click there, you can type in a message, put in an amount, and support the channel that way if you would like. That also gets my attention. So that is, let me put this back, whoops, so I can see things. So if you are new and you think that this channel would be helpful for you, please consider hitting the subscribe button and pressing the bell notification so that YouTube will actually, maybe, tell you about when I post a video. The other thing you can do, you can sign up for the DSD newsletter over at dadssurvivingdivorce.com. If you go, let me just flip over here. If you go to dadssurvivingdivorce.com, and when the first time you go, sometimes it gives you a dialogue. If that doesn't happen, just scroll right on down there and put that in there, and you'll be added to my mailing list. So I could send you cool little things. I did send an email out earlier today. I hope that didn't annoy anybody, because I did include a basically kind of a product placement. Hypnosis Downloads, who I use, who supports the channel and who I've used in the past, is actually doing a sale because they've been in business for 21 years. So they're having a 21% discount off. So I sent that out in the email so that if you would ever consider doing that, now might be the time. And the next thing is just to double check and see who's all here. And before we jump into tonight's topic, we got a few people on, 31 people. Awesome. We've got Old Shawnee Road. Hey, say no to NWO. I think if you are new, or at least new with that name, welcome to the channel, welcome to the show. Says, this is the perfect topic for me today. After being cheated on multiple times, a long battle in court to get my son back, plus much more. Deep down, though, I still want her, and it's destroying me. In some ways, tonight's topic will cover that. We got Scott. Haven't seen you on in a while. Says, glad you are here, Scott. Lyle is here. Hey, Lyle, glad you're on. We were having a discussion on the Discord. He had asked a question, and I posted some stuff. So I just on that, before I move on, I am planning on doing a subset conference type call, probably on Zoom, so we can all talk with video. To talk about some ideas on sharing stories and stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, sign up for the Discord and look for that. I'll post a message on this probably in the next few days, and hopefully we can sit down for a little bit of time all together and brainstorm some ideas. I think that would be good. Hey, Scott, Spiritual Empower Coaching did make it on. So she had mentioned or texted me earlier saying that her network was down, so I'm glad she's on. So thank you, Leslie, for hanging out with us. I did see it come up, so it's down. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, cool. I thought it said upside down camera. I'm like, oh crap, my camera's upside down. Scott says, check your cables. And it was, I had to ping bump the encoder, which normally doesn't happen. So I was actually kind of surprised by that one. That was a little weird. Let's see. Oh, Danielle's on. Hey, glad to see you on. Bears is on. Committed to the shift. Welcome back to the show. Let's see. Mr. Skulls, welcome. I haven't seen you on before. Blue is on. All right, so we got a few people on. Oh, Lyle says I still can't figure out how to... Lyle, I needed to talk to you anyway, so maybe I can help you through that. I had made a video about that once before. Did I make a video? I'm not sure. I do not remember. Spider asks, how's the coaching? Actually, Spider, the coaching is going really well. I really appreciate it. Thanks for bringing that up. I really appreciate the people who jumped on that and have been the initial adopters of that. I had a few clients and I think some really good conversations. To be perfectly honest, tonight's topic came out of that with a conversation with somebody. So just to lay some ground rules on this, just to make sure, I will not share anything, personal that anyone does. I have been recording the calls and then providing audio versions of it. I was going to try to do video, but that was just too much to the people, so that way you can re-listen to it and hopefully it would provide more value to you. So, but yeah, thanks for asking, Spider. It has gone really well. I've been very, very humbled by the support from everybody on the channel and for the people who have who find value in that. And I know people have been asking for it for a while. It's something I should have done a while ago. So So thank you for that. All right. Let's see. And you know what? I don't think we have what do you call it? I don't think we have everyone's got to behave, because I don't think we have any moderators on tonight. So this could be an interesting one for me trying to do everything. So, all right. Let's see. All right. Shirley says hi from Northern California. Well, hey, there's a lot of people. You know, I need to figure out where everybody's from, because and just let's see. I'm trying to remember if we had another conversation before this, but I was going to try to do that San Diego thing and it fell apart, so I didn't do it. But there are a lot of people. I was surprised at how many people are in California and Southern California. So I might want to set up a opportunity to meet with people. Whoops, I think I just hit the wrong button. Oh my God. Oh, I just deleted the whole damn thing. That was phenomenal. I'm a super genius sometimes. That is awesome. I'm like having technical difficulties like normal. All right, there we go. Jeez, sorry about that. Hey, thanks, John. Mention where she's from. What I need to do is I need to find a way to get that into the mailing list so I know where people are, because it would be really awesome if I'm going to be in Northern California or Southern California to say, hey, I'm going to be someplace, let's meet up. I don't really know how to pull that one off, so that's something I'm going to have to think about. Oh, Old Johnny Road says DSD Con, DSD Cruise, DSD TEDx. There you go. That is awesome. All right. So I am going. Okay. So you guys are. Wow. You know what? I haven't asked. That is so weird. I should be doing that before. I didn't even think about that. So we got people from all over the place. We got Indiana, South Orange County, which is Southern California, Northern California, Mobile, Alabama, Chicago, Georgia. Man, that is awesome, guys. Sweet. Okay. So this is what I'm intending to do. We're going to go down this topic. I have it more structured. I'm going to pause for conversation on this. So the idea is to give, to focus on this topic. I know, because things have a tendency to spin out of control. But you know what? But before I do that, I forgot. There's one other thing I wanted to mention, and I have a special message from Mark Ludwig, who has a conference that's, if you guys remember the podcast I had done with him a few months ago, he was talking about an event that he had in late June. Well, now is the time, and I'm going to just bump over to Mark so you guys can hear his message real quick, and then we'll jump back.
Hey, Duane, wanted to send a quick reminder to all of your followers to let them know there are still tickets available for the Partners in Progress conference this weekend. It's this Friday and Saturday, June 28th and 29th. Starts at 11:30 Friday morning. It's at the Holiday Inn Alexandria at Carlisle. To get tickets, go to events.afesp.com. That's events.afesp.com. But we have a huge lineup, over 46 speakers taking the stage, covering everything you need to know to give yourself a background to get legislation passed for 50-50 rebuttable presumption in your state. We have got a legislative panel. We've got mental health experts. We're going to be covering how to write your bill. We have people who are advisors to the president that are going to be there. It's going to be a pretty darn impressive event, in addition to Dr. Warren Farrell. So this Friday and Saturday, tickets still available at events.afesp.com. See you in D.C.
So if any of our viewers that are on the East Coast, looks like we don't have too many tonight, but maybe in the replay if you guys are watching this, if you are in that area and you can go to this thing, I think it would be a fascinating thing to go to. Let me pull this up, because this is the page he was talking about. They've got a ton of, it's been scrolling on me, so a ton of speakers that, I wonder if I can shrink this down, that are, there we go, that are going to be talking on this thing. They're going to preview that documentary, Erased Parents. a racing family. I mean, the people that started with a racing dad and now they've done a racing parents. Our family, sorry, I keep saying that wrong. But if you guys remember the podcast I did with him, let me make over here real quick. This one right here, episode number 26, we were talking about what he's doing and trying to accomplish. And he had mentioned during that about this Partners in Progress event that he's doing in Washington, D.C. And it's this weekend. So if you have an opportunity to go, I would encourage you to go. I wish I could go. The people that are there, I would love to hear what they have to say. It would be awesome to network with some of these people. I know that we have a lot of people from the channel who are also collaborating with Alex Falcone on his our judges sites. That all of this stuff tied together is really making the push to really affect change in a positive way. I know some of us it's not early enough to really take care of our situation, but I think it's something that is good nonetheless. So I thank you, Mark, for taking the time from your little rounds to send us a little note. I appreciate it, and I hope that if any of our viewers from this channel happen to go, please send me a note, send me an email that you're going or how it went whenever you do go. All right, so let me look on this. Oh, I see somebody, Andalusia, Spain. David. Hi, David. I spent 3 years from 1990 to 1993 in near Sevilla, Spain, near a small little town called Marron de la Frontera, and I loved it. I miss Spain. Spain was a phenomenal place to live. I wish I was a little bit older and a tiny bit more mature because I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But that really stuck out, David. So welcome to the welcome. I know you've been on the channel before, but that's my hat off to you for Spain. Anyways, okay, so let me just see what else we got going on before I jump into the topic. And then I will jump into it. We got Texas, we got people, Boston, we got people all over the place. Where is this? Oh, I'm sorry. That John had asked where this is. This is in, I wonder if I can pull it up. It's in Washington, D.C. Let me see if it shows. It's, okay, I apologize. I was incorrect. It is Friday, June 28th through Saturday, June 29th at the hotel, the Holiday Inn in Carlisle and Alexandria to do it. But I wonder how much it is. I can't remember. I remember it was cheaper before, so obviously now it will not be as cheap. So VIP, general admission, $75. That's not too bad. So I would encourage you to check that out. Anyways, alrighty. Okay. I'm just checking a couple of comments before I jump into this. Okay, so tonight's topic is how to move forward. And I'm going to so let me do it this way. So I'm going to do this. So a lot of us get stuck in how do we get our lives back? How do we move forward? How do we get to the point that we can even see that as a possibility? So I'm going to cover a few areas tonight. One of them is going to be the reasons that we get stuck. All of this, now that part is going to be relatively, not common, but what's the word I'm looking for? Straightforward. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about requirements creep. This is something that I've used this term in the past, but it's basically, it comes from, at least from my professional environment for project management. Whenever you have something that you have a goal, you start out with it, and then as it progresses, it creeps. It's like where you were trying to go, what you were initially focused on doing, it becomes something different. And we have to be careful about that. Next thing is looking to the future and how we can actually get to a point where we can see some of the future. And the thing about all of this, before I really jump into the first part about this, is getting a point to where you can kind of recognize where you're at. You can recognize the influences and what's happening to cause you to change your direction of where you're trying to go, and then ways to look at it objectively to get you back on track to really get your life back. And I know none of this is easy. I mean, the concepts are easy, but it's really hard to implement because of the emotions and then basically the stuff I'm going to get into. So first thing is the reasons why we get stuck. And when I say reasons why we get stuck, I'm talking about why we get to the point that we can't move forward. Why do we get to the point that, you know, maybe even at the beginning of this, like in my story, you feel like everything, you've made sense of it. It's like, okay, the marriage is over, you know, we're going to separate, we're going to do this, but you know, it's not going to be, you think it's not going to be toxic, right? You think I got this figured out. This sucks, but I got a way forward. So the main thing is what happens is what you expected to happen is entirely different than what really happens. Most of the time we're like, okay, we're getting divorced, whatever. And then all hell breaks loose. You get the narcissistic rage. You get just the fact that whenever you or we no longer are of any value to the ex, they change. Technically, they don't really change. What they do is they change for us, and they don't have to put on the facade anymore. So they just take off the mask, and they're free to be whoever they were, right? The thing is in this part of it, this first part, why we get stuck, is your ex pushes you every step of the way. They do everything in their power to make your life a living hell, to destroy it, to destroy your relationship with your kids if you have kids, or just make this a disaster. Well, there's a bunch of people on the channel who have no kids, but they cannot get their ex to, you know, finalize the damn divorce, and they're arguing about everything. Partly that's just because that's the only thing that they have to keep you connected to them. But every time this happens, and this is going to roll into the requirements creep, it basically causes another wound and a different wound. And what often happens is every time we're going through this and we're making our peace effectively with what's going on, they do something else. I don't know how many times through this. Well, let me just back up. What I'll just say is, like, talking about what wasn't expected. When I started my thing, I was clueless. I had no idea I was dealing with the devil, and I thought we could be cordial. And I offered a reasonable deal. I'm like, hey, you know what? This is what's going on. Technically what I did is I'm like, I won't divorce you. We'll just legally separate. That way you have medical. I'll give you this much money. I'll give you these assets. You know, let's just make this as easy as possible. Let's work to co-parent and stuff like that. But what happened is every step of the way, she took her bony little finger and went boop in every freaking way possible. She did it on, you know, just vicious thing. I mean, everything. Anytime that she had an opportunity, and your ex will do this. Anytime they have an opportunity to jab you in the eye, they're going to do it. They will always take it. Now, partly that's because they're approaching this from the way that they view things, and they are evil, so they're thinking you will be evil, so it's almost preemptive, but that's obviously not the case. The thing is, as all that stuff happens, we want justice. We need the need for justice. We want them held accountable. We want them to feel the pain when they've destroyed everything or consumed everything I expected. The thing is as this goes on, every time they go boop, we get more angry and we want... Uh-oh, somebody says they can't see. Did the show die? Henry says, is the show live? I can't see. If you guys can give me a 1 if the show is working, I would appreciate it, because I would hate to think that I'm talking to nobody, because this is an important topic. All right, Lyle says 1. We got some 1s. All right, so I'm going to continue on. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. All right, the other problem that we have is we start comparing today to our future that we thought we were going to have. This is a big one. This is a huge problem because what happens is you start looking at everything that's been destroyed. You start looking at it saying, well, before this happened, I expected to be there for my kids all the time. I expected to have a place to live. I expected to have my retirement. I mean, all these different things. And you get stuck all of this rolls back in, right? It rolls back into the fact that this isn't what you expected. Your ex is pushing every damn button. You want justice for what they did, and you're looking at what they've done for no apparent reason, because there's no justification for it, and you're seeing that what you thought your life was going to be in the future is completely changed. It's completely altered. And trying to look at that and compare it to today to tomorrow with what you thought before is really tough. And guys, I will tell you, that was a big problem for me. And I was stuck for probably a good 3 years. There was a period of time where I thought I was doing okay. And after that first year, and then I made the mistake. Well, I mean, I guess I've been with Debbie for over 5 years, so at some point it was going to come out. But I made the mistake of, introducing her to the kids, letting everyone know that I was happy and moving on with my life, and that unleashed the dark demon of hell. The amount of crap that happened from that point on, and at the time I had the IRS coming after me, which that was pretty scary. I had child support services coming after me because my ex decided to tell them I was a deadbeat dad and was not paying wasn't paying child support, as they were garnishing it from my pay. But they didn't care. As soon as it started, they just started the enforcement arm in a vicious way, and then it just everything re-triggered. I mean, I was not healed. That sent me down the pit of hell and started me down the path to my dark days I often talk about, that I'm joking about right now, but it was the most hardest thing, and I didn't think I was going to make it through it. It almost destroyed my relationship with Debbie. I was sabotaging things. I had that little voice in my head saying, you are a piece of garbage and don't deserve happiness. And it just continued to get worse and worse and worse. Measure Twice says, DSD recommends hypnosis tapes you can listen to on your own. Retrain the unconscious mind. And that's ultimately what I had to do to get out of that spiral. It was bad. It was not good. I mean, I was going to therapy once a week. That was around the time that my therapist said, you might be dealing with somebody who has an undiagnosed personality disorder. So it was not a good time, which was also basically not the catalyst for this channel right then. But as I got through it, I thought, at some point I'm going to have to give back because of all the people that were able to help me. I know that there are people out there who don't have that help. And I thought that this platform would be a way to do that. And it took me 3 years past that, or 2 years? Past the dark days whenever I felt that it was time to do this. Okay. Let me just double check the comments because I don't want to miss anything if anyone has any things they're saying on this. And what I will say, what I do want to ask is, can you guys give me a 1 or a thumbs up, not on the video, but in the comments, if you like how this is progressing and you feel that this is a good way to do topics. I would love your feedback on that. And while you guys are doing that, I am going to look at the comments to see if I am missing anything. Measure Twice has videos by Richard Grannon here on YouTube, and healing from a narcissist and PTSD helped as well. Lynn says 1 day at a time. That is so critical. And I was at one point living one moment, moment to moment. All right, okay, thank you guys for the feedback on that. Lynn also says, this is why no contact is so important. Narcs are vindictive. Yeah, it is. That's a really great point. And I was talking with someone earlier today, I think it was today, about the fact that, actually I was talking to my dad. That's what it was. I was talking to my dad about it. That, I finally got to the point that I even when I will act like I'm, stern and whatever around the ex and uncomfortable, which I am a little bit. But I kind of like do it more for effect because I want her to think, oh, he's still mad. He's still angry. I still have him, so that she leaves me alone. And for the most part, it has worked. It has been an effective technique, but no contact is super damn important. All right. I like Grit says, I am feeling moment to moment. Yeah. And what I would say when you're at that, and we're going to get into this in a minute. I'm going to hit some other topics, but when you're in that moment to moment mode, you have to look for those little glimmers of light. For a while there, I was like, okay, I had like 30 minutes where I felt okay before the world came crashing down. And it was like, okay, that's progress, because, the week before there was all of it. It was like I was either awake and feeling like, feeling miserable, or I was asleep. And it was lather, rinse, and repeat. And there didn't feel like there was any escape. All right, let me double check. All right. Okay, so let me click back over here. Whoops, not there. Here. Okay, so the last part about this on the reason you get stuck is it's the anger. The anger is such an overpowering emotion, rightfully so. We have every reason to be angry, but it's just like it consumes everything. And I'll tell you, I spent a period of time during my story where I embraced the anger and I was living on the anger. Effectively what I was doing to get through each day is I was just saying I was so mad, and I'm like, I am not going to give up. She's not going to break me. I don't care what happens. I am going to survive. I made jokes with my friends. I'm like, if I have a heart attack or I have a stroke, keep me alive, because I'm just at a pure, perseverance. I'm going to survive and not let her win, right? Not a healthy way to be, but that was, at that time, that's where I was at. That was the only thing that was keeping me going. The problem with anger is it keeps you stuck to the situation. It keeps you stuck to your ex, and it holds you there, unable to move forward. So let me check the comments before we move on to the next part about this. Chad says, breathe to breathe, then second to second, breath to breath, second to second, then hour, then meals. Then, this is exactly what I went through. Then meals, then days, but you have to fight for it. You didn't get where you are in a day. It takes just as long to heal. That is, and the thing with that to remember is what Chad is talking about. That is pretty much what everyone's story is it's just this muck of disaster, and you slowly crawl your way out of it, and it doesn't feel like it. One of the other things when I was chatting with my dad earlier, I was talking to him on the way home today. I only get to talk to him every couple of weeks or something, but I was talking about how one of the issues with a lot of this is how to connect with it to make sense, right? Because when someone says to you, you just need to get over it, you need to let your anger go, but without having the context of people who've been through it, and to be able to say, hey, yes, you do need to let the anger go, but look, man, I was there. I know exactly where you're feeling. I felt the exact same way. I struggled with the exact same thing, and this is how I was able to process it to get to where I am today. A lot of times people they leave that part out. And that is the missing link, because if you cannot thread the needle on how you get beyond this, it seems not possible. It seems like there's no way to get over all the stuff, like looking at the slide, everything that happened. It seems impossible. All right. Now we get into what I call requirements creep. And this is a part or an issue from everything we just talked about in the past section. And the big part about this is we forget what we originally were asking for, or what we are originally fighting for. So what happens is we go in with, okay, I want X amount of visitation, I want, this much money, I want these resources, yada yada. And this is what happened with me. I was going to give my ex everything. I'm like, hey, you want We had an old Bronco. I'm like, you want the old Bronco? You can have the Bronco. You know, I took the things that I knew I needed to get rid of to try not to destroy our credit. I'd even said, look, I'll give you X amount of dollars. I'll pay the mortgage out of that. So, I mean, your package is this. So effectively, I was like, you can live here for, you know, I will make sure that the house is good because of my job. I needed that to not be bad. And I'll still give you some money. And if you get a job, fine. I mean, I was like, hey, I'll sign right now. You can have this much money, whatever you do. And thank God I didn't. But I was ready to do that. I would have done it. Problem is, you know, her response was, well, I want everything I'm entitled to. You know, I'm not sure what I'm entitled to, so I need to spend a bunch of money and make you pay for it to see what I'm entitled to, right? So as soon as that happened, I'm like, well, then it's off the table, you know? So when she's like, well, you said I could have the dishes. Well, that was before. And mainly it was that Bronco thing. But I'm like, hey, look, the deal's over. I offered the deal. You're now negotiating. So everything I offered is off the table. You know, that was, hey, you agree we do this, right? So the problem is I forgot what I was originally looking for because I got mad. I got angry. Every time she poked me in the eye, I wanted to poke back. So my requirements moved. Now, in some regards, I was an idiot on some of my requirements. Partly that was with the custody because I didn't realize that had I agreed to what I was originally willing to agree. See, she blew it. She should have said yes. She should have, kept me down as a weekend dad and then come back a year or two later and went to child support services and go, I don't think I'm getting enough money. I think you need to reevaluate it. And they would have bent me over and it would have been devastating. So in some ways, I'm lucky that she took her finger and went boop right in my eye because I modified what I was going to do. So let me see what you guys are saying. Actually, let me pull up the next thing. Actually, so let me move on a little bit and I'll look at what you guys are saying as we're doing this. So bottom line is we end up changing our goal. The goalpost moves. Now, partly that's because they keep moving the goalpost, but at the same time, we do as well. We are like, every time they do something, it's like, well, I was going to give you this. Well, now I'm not. Or now I want more. I went through this same problem whenever we went back to court for the retirement money. And I know I'm mainly talking about this in the beginning, but I had this exact same problem. I went in and I'm like, okay, my attorney made an error and put the wrong date in. They put the date in of the divorce, on, like August 1st, hypothetically. On August 5th, we took out over half of what was in the retirement funds to pay off bills. Well, when the paperwork was filed, they didn't annotate that. So when the ex got mad and sent that to my employer, they're like, okay, at the date of divorce, there was a significant amount, there was double the amount of money in there. So they're like, okay, well, there's this much. She gets half when we basically took out half. So they're like, we're going to give her all of it. So I was like, crap. I knew that we took the money out and I knew that she was entitled to half of what was left, or a little bit less, whatever. But because of that, they were going to give her the whole thing. So I initially, when we went to court, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is, I'm thinking this is the number. I had the bogey in my mind. But what happened is the ex and her attorney did this like a whole nother divorce. So they pulled up all these old wounds and basically said, you're a scumbag. We had a travel trailer. They're like, well, you sold a travel trailer at a loss and that was an asset. All the same crap that they tried before. It was a refresh. And what happened is I got more and more angry and I kept coming up with my own mind on how to lower that number. And I'm like, I'll use fake numbers, but let's say what was, they were going to give her 100,000 and she was entitled to 50. I'm like, well, okay, I'll be okay with 50. And then as it progressed, I'm like, well, technically, if you do this and this, I kept finding ways to lower that number to where it was like, at one point it was like, okay, you know what? Offer them 23. But that's what was happening, is I was changing my goalposts and I was forgetting what I wanted. And it was out of anger because of the getting triggered by the past events and all that stuff. Now, the difference in this whole thing is that it wasn't necessarily costing me money, but most of the time when this happens, it is costing you. I mean, you are burning money with your attorneys, and you lose sight of what your original goal was, and you're making mistakes. So let me see where we are. I see some people tagged me. John had said, Duane, the other issue with all of this is they turn it into an adversarial disaster with attorneys, which is very true. Attorneys know this and make it 100 times worse, as we all know. And the wise chat manager, hey, welcome, I haven't seen you in a while, says they always want more. Doesn't matter what we offer, it will not be enough. Yeah, that's a very good point. The other thing is to keep in mind, guys, is most of the time with a narcissistic ex, they don't live in reality. So most of the time they go to these attorneys and they're like, oh, Bill has, he has $500,000 buried in mason jars in the backyard, right? And the attorneys are like, oh, $500,000? Okay, well, we'll get, they're thinking they're going to get their money whenever she gets her part of that money. And they just go for it, right? Because they know they're going to get paid, or they think they're going to get paid. And I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and that was part of the problem is that it had gone to this point where they'd burned through so much money, and effectively the attorney was like, oh, crap, there's no money. That's what happened in my situation. My ex was like, he has, a ton of money and cash and prizes. Well, no prizes, but and at the first part of my whole divorce, all that attorney cared about was an accounting of that. We want a full accounting of everything. And I was like, I already sent it to you. You already have it. We want a full accounting. The court has ordered it. You need to give a full accounting. And I remember at one point, when I still was chatting with Pumpkin, I was like, hey, Pumpkin, you did tell your attorney that there is no money, right? I mean, they know that the money's gone. Yeah, we took that money out. We paid as many bills as we could. And then the rest of it went to federal government taxes and state. They know that, right? I told them that. They know that. Bobblehead. It was just, and she, she didn't. I mean, they go in with their pie in the sky. They go in there with the pie in the sky version of their reality and say, oh my God, Duane's such a scumbag. He's a piece. He beats people and burns incense and whatever. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's just stupid crap. They think that she has access to money. They're like, oh, we'll get you everything. Don't you worry, honey. And, they roll the damn thing down, and it just it's a colossal train wreck. But here's the thing. What happens is we get angry. We get angry, rightfully so, and we change our goal. We shift where we're trying to head, what we want, and you get so wrapped up into that, right? And again, we want justice. We want resolution for this being drugged through this nightmare, for losing this money, for losing the time with our kids, for all those different things. And you are completely valid in feeling that way. It's it's natural to get this angry, right? But it's counterproductive. So bottom line is what happens is we adjust with their attacks. When they start throwing stuff and they start making it worse, we change where we want, what we want. I did the same thing. I mean, I was like, initially, like vacation, I'm like, you know what, Pumpkin, I will give you, because she used way back in the day when we were married, she would take a month every year and go back to visit her family. And I'm like, you know what? If we can figure this out, I'll let you have 4 weeks in the summer. I mean, God, I have to work. Then you can go back, visit your family, do like you always did. And she's like, well, you'll help me, right? And I'm like, you mean money? At the time, I was paying her like 65% of my take-home pay. And I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? No way in hell no, I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to pay you what I'm paying you and then pay for your damn trip. That ain't happening. But anyway, so then as it happened, I was like, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and finally wrote it in as 1 week. I mean, I just did that as spite. I'm like, F you. F you. I offered to give you 4 weeks. So, I'm like, no, you had your chance. I want my justice. I've adjusted with your attack, and you're going to get 10 days or 10 minutes. And she didn't even notice that. She signed that and didn't realize it till later. Like, wait, what? I can't take the kids for the holidays and leave? Nope. I can't, I only get 1 week during the summer? Yep. 1 week. Just stupid. And realistically, it was just me changing what I thought I wanted. So, all right. This rolls into looking to the future. How do you get out of that mess? How do you take where you're at right now, and move beyond it? I couldn't. It took me a long time to get to the Zen Master stage that I'm in now. And I wish to God that I could have had somebody who would mentor me on this back then, because I couldn't figure it out. And when people would tell me, you just need to do this or that. I mean, even my buddy Mike, he used to say, man, you've won. You won. And I'm like, I don't feel like I won. And there was no context to it. So what I try to do with this channel is try to put the context in it. And that's what this last part's going to be about. And the main key on that is pivoting from them and then changing your focus to where you're moving from what's today to the future. And this is really hard. This is absolutely not easy. And let me before I move on, let me just double check and see if I've missed any comments on this, because I want to keep this discussion going. And I know this video is going along. We might run a little bit late tonight, but we'll see. Double X says, don't forget your worship. I love that. That's nice. Hey, James jumped on. Oh, he liked we need a bobblehead DSD. That's pretty funny. I like that. All right. Let's see. I'm missing some of I was kind of on a tirade, so I kind of missed some of what was going on in the live chat. So I'm going to, like I've said before, I'm going to mainly look for when people tag me, just so that I'm not getting lost in just the conversation between you guys. So if there's something that you want me to see, make sure you tag me. Just do the @DSD. All right. Oh, Committed to the Shift tags me and says, Duane, what you're talking about right now is the shift I'm committed to. And that it really is. It's a shift. I know I say pivot, but it's along the same lines. So Committed to the Shift says focusing on me. And that's okay. Let me move on. Okay, the first thing on this is finding any positive in your life not associated with your ex. Well, let me back up, because you're not going to find any positive associated with your ex. What I mean is this is kind of part of that absolute thinking and the black hole thinking that I've talked about in the past, where you're changing what you're focusing on. Like Committed to the Shift is saying, focusing on me. You're focusing on anything positive in your life. And this is where we also go back to where we were talking about where, how, I can't remember who was saying it, but the comment about focusing on, moment to moment, day, hour to hour, day to day. And that's really the key, is where you're looking for any little thing that's making, that's positive or making you happy. The hard part about that is, changing your focus, not changing your focus, but basically making that shift to where you're not thinking about what you thought the future was supposed to be. That you're not thinking about what the person has taken away from you, but finding something simple. I mean, for me, it was just being alone in my house. Sometimes that was a good thing. Sometimes that was a bad thing. But, not having her here was a big thing. Sometimes it was just driving to work and not feeling, not saying it that way, but like just seeing the beauty of it, right? I mean, be driving to work and just going, wow, man, that's really nice out today. just little things, and focusing on that to kind of just, it's an anchor, right? And that's what I was using that. I would anchor it to every moment and trying to find something positive to keep moving forward. And the other thing is, and I would encourage you to do this, and I wrote this out as a question to yourself, is also looking at it is, how is today helping you get to where you want to go? And what I mean by that is, when you're angry and focused on your ex, how is that helping you to get to 5 years from now, 10 years from now, on the future? Now, I know that that's tough in the beginning stages of this, because that can be triggering, right? When you say, well, think about 5 years down the road, and your response could be, well, Duane, my future's ruined. There is no future. I'm never going to be able to retire. I'm never going to be able to buy a house. I'm never going to be able, I'm never. But I hope with this channel, and seeing somebody who has gotten to the other side, and seeing some of the other people on the channel who have gotten to the other side, you can see that there is life after this. There is a positive after this. So I hope you can look at it and say, okay, I want to get where Duane's at. I want to get where Committed to the Shift is at, or some of the other people who've been able to progress, who still are gracious enough to still hang around on the channel, and say, okay, I see that there's a possibility to get there. And this is the problem I had with this, is because I couldn't see the possibility, right? So to me, it was really hard to have the hope for the future, because I didn't see any hope. But once you can see that, once you can start to visualize that, and you even start to believe that in the possibility of it, then you can look at it and say, okay, for instance, talk about that the whole incident, this recent incident with me with the child support stuff. I could have easily, and I would have been absolutely justified to get angry that this had happened, angry at myself that I didn't take her back and try to get it lowered. It could have spiraled me out of control. But I look at things now, and it's like, okay, how do these emotions, or these feelings, how do they get me to where I want to be, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Is it helping me get to where I want to go? I want a stress-free life, or chaos. Let me change that to, there's always stress in life. A chaos-free life. I don't want to deal with the BS of the ex anymore. I don't want to deal with, that type of BS anymore. I'll tell you, in the past, this whole child support thing, I would have been angry. I would have, out of spite, drug my feet, because my attorney told me before, well, if you're in arrears, they just charge it as an installment plan. They didn't explain to me how bad that is. And I would be rolling into this saying, no way, I'm not paying it. They're going to have to come after me and, pry it out of my freaking cold fingers. And I'm not going to, I'm going to make it as hard and difficult as possible. But the thing is how would that today help me to get where I want to go? Now I can look at it and say, okay, and this is what, I put the thing on a credit card the other day just to try to make it go away, and it hasn't cleared yet. So I'm trying to make sure that before this month is over, and I made a mistake, guys, when I was looking at it, when I told you that was like a few $100s, or about almost, a significantly less than I thought. I was wrong, because I get paid on Friday, and I was like, hey, I get paid on Friday. That's in June. Woohoo! Yay! I got an extra check, so, it'll make the number lower. No. That damn check posts on the 1st, so it doesn't count for June. So I am the full amount in arrears for the month of June. So anybody who wants coaching, now's the time. Anyways, I digress. But so no, I scrounged up money on credit cards, and I just paid the damn thing. And my goal is like, okay, my best thing to make my life as simple as possible is to make that go away, get it paid off. Thank God I could do it. And some other things that helped that were just blew my mind. The support you guys have given me over the last 2 weeks has been phenomenal, and I am very, very grateful for that on everything. The support, just donations that have come into the channel, you know, the support for the coaching thing. I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I just wanted to pause on that for a minute because it really, it was, it kind of put me in shock. I mean, I would say this last weekend, I was just kind of like, I was kind of walking around dazed because I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, you know, it was, anyways, I digress. My point is, when all this crap happened, I was able to say, okay, I want to make sure whatever action I take right now doesn't screw me and where I'm trying to go. That's my focus, right? So yes, I could do some other things to make it as complicated for the X as possible. I could slow roll it so all that money, you know, comes in piecemeal. You know, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but my understanding is I paid it. They are going to give her a wad of cash and just dump it into her account. The only really, I guess, gratification? What is the word I'm looking for? The only, I don't know what the right word is, but the thing is I'm not telling her, right? I mean, so she doesn't know that she's getting ready to get a wad of cash. But I don't care, right? I mean, because some people are like, oh, it's wrong. I'm like, I don't care. Whatever the F happens to her, how does it affect my life? How does it affect what I'm trying to do with the kids? Now, granted, with the kids, it does complicate things because obviously, you know, that's a wad of cash that I can't spend on them. But, you know, whatever. It's fine. Well, I'll wait for this to post. So let me... here is the key to this. And you guys really need to take an open mind. I mean, if you can see it on the screen, you already know what I'm going to say. But every day... Now, hold on a second.
Thank you. An amazing resource and inspiration and friend, and we appreciate you so much, DSD.
Oh, thank you, Measure Twice. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. It's so cool when it reads that message too. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So the thing is every day we stay connected to them, we lose. Every day we stay angry at them, they're winning. We get our power back when we take it back, when we don't allow them to affect us anymore. Guys, honestly, I'll stick with this, even though with more information, I realize that, you know, the X didn't do this intentionally. But, you know, I was really surprised that it had no effect on me. If you guys remember that video, what did I do a long time ago? Let me see if I'm going to make this big. Let me see. God, I mean, what the heck was it called? The one I did where I kind of went off on the labyrinth. And why can I not find the search button? Where's the search button at? Oh, there it is. And it's not okay. Come on, search. Why is this not working? All right, I'll just talk about it. I made a video a while back where I was talking about the movie Labyrinth, and at the end of the movie, the main character basically realizes that the Goblin King no longer has power. And she basically says at one point, you no longer have power over me. And that really is the case. We get to the point where we're like, you know what? You don't have any power over me anymore. What you're doing doesn't affect me anymore. You know, and I'm saying this as somebody who's still paying her a gob of money, who's still dealing with all the BS, you know, still dealing with just stupidness, but I don't care anymore, right? I mean, it's like I go back to that question. Let me come back over here. This question right here where I'm, you know, it's like, how is today helping me get to where I want to go? And and the key on that is that it none of it, when we're staying connected to the X, none of it helps us. So that was the topic for tonight. That was the whole thing about my philosophy on how you move forward with this. I hope that that makes sense. I hope that even if you're in the midst of this, even if you are still it's connected to your ex. You're still really angry. You still can't see, giving, not giving up, but giving them a pass. If those words of just, how is this helping you get to where you want to go? You can sit there all day long and say, no, they have to pay. I have to expose them. They have to be accountable for what they've done. Here's the thing, guys. People who are like this, they may get away with certain things, right? They may get away with doing what they do to us. But what I will tell you is they cannot escape the toxic person that they are. They can't do it. It's not possible. You cannot be okay, let me give you another example. My ex has made my life a living hell for an extended period of time, and she also has done a pretty good job of making Debbie's life a living hell for an extended period of time. The thing is, I have progressed past this. I still have stress and I have anxiety in my life. I still have to deal with unpleasant issues. There are still, trials and tribulations. But what's happening now is things are getting so much better. I feel so much better. I see, I'm excited for the future, right? So conversely, let's roll, just as in, okay, so has my ex paid the price the way I expected it to and the way I wanted? Absolutely not. She got away with everything. She's got a ton of money. She's been retired off me forever. And, I could be angry about that. But let me tell you this. And I'm nervous to say this, but things go good. My car works. I'll give you another example. A few years back, a good friend of mine, had a heart attack. Didn't think he was going to make it. I drove all the way up. He had a heart attack in Vegas. I drove all the way up to Vegas. Stopped at one of the rest areas at one point. Turned my car off, went to the thing, got back in. Continued my way, went to the hospital in Las Vegas. My car died when I got there. Okay, it's still a bad thing. Would have been a hell of a lot worse if it would have died in a rest area in the middle of nowhere between the border of California, between California and Nevada in the middle of nowhere. So things tend to work out for me. Hopefully that's the same way for you, right? Take the housing thing at the beginning of this year when I thought I was going to have to move. Granted, I have to pay more now, but I didn't have to move. I didn't have to do that. The ex got kicked out of her house. The ex bought a car, a few years ago, jabbed me in the eye on it. Oh, I have a brand new car. Not so good for you, but good for me, right? I was talking to my daughter earlier. The car's a complete disaster. Freaking horn goes off, while they're driving. They'll be driving, it goes off. Car's braking, dies on the side of the road. They can't, every time they get into it, it's like, they're playing, craps, like, well, whatever. They're rolling the dice to see what would happen. And her stuff happens as in like it dies in the middle of nowhere. A few years back, the battery died, on the side of the road. Back when she was still going back to see her family, drives across the country, gets hit, gets in an accident, gets the car crunched. Car breaks down on the way. It's just like they pay. They don't pay the way we would hope, but it's their life. It's their misery. Let them enjoy it. We get to move on. Bear says karma. I agree with you. MFA says, so she bought a Ford. Actually, both of them were a Dodge. The van was a Dodge and her new car is a Dodge. John, all right, let me just see what people are saying. Man, guys, let me ask you this. Because I didn't time this before, so I wasn't sure how long this would take. How do you guys feel with how this whole thing, this topic and the way I did it? Because, this was effectively almost a complete hour just on this topic with very minor movement on our, changing and everything. So I'm curious. So give me a thumbs up in the chat if you like this. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. So I know. Okay, so ones. Oh, thank you guys. So Spider says, do this format more. I know you guys have been there's been a few people who are saying this, and I think the problem mentally for me, yeah, I get thumbs up. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I think the problem with me is I'd done this before and then I kind of shifted. So I thought the topic on it was it, but I think, doing slides is kind of a pain, and sometimes I feel weird about doing it that way, but I think I'm going to see if I can shift it to this. And awesome, guys. I really appreciate this. Everyone's giving me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that Measure Twice says, DSD, we have been listening to you and also chatting. And I think by you guys tagging me so I don't get caught up in trying to, because it's really tough for me to try to look through the chat and figure out, oh, well, that's not for me, or that's you guys just talking. It makes it really tough for me to, keep on track. So I really appreciate you guys who are tagging me. All right. So that's the topic for this evening. And I hope that it was helpful. I hope you guys got something out of that. And that topic, the inspiration for that topic came right out of a client call from, it was either this weekend or on Monday. I can't remember, but that was cool. I appreciate that. Here's the other thing I want to mention to you guys. I want to throw out there before I get to, and I'll get to John's question here in a second, and then we'll wrap this up. So if you guys anyone else has any questions, if you asked them before and I missed them, put them in the comments right now, and we'll get to them in a few minutes. But here's the thing. That in the beginning of this, whenever I played Mark's video, what would you guys think? And this would help me. Okay, my question is this. What would you guys think if you guys submitted questions on video, like a minute question, because that was a short video, not a 14-minute thing, but just something quick and to the point. I could play it if anybody wanted to be on video, right? Obviously, somebody wants to be able to say something, and then I could cue it up. We could play it. We could discuss it, and then, do multiple or whatever. I guess it's kind of similar to people doing, the question and answer things. I'm just curious if you guys, if that sounds like something that would be beneficial, let me know, email me about it. The way Mark did that is he actually, I'm not sure how he recorded it, but he actually sent it to me with Facebook. So he just IM'd me. Well, I IM'd him, asking him to do that, and then he made the video and just sent it to me, and I was able to download it. So curious what you guys think about that, if you think that would be cool. I tell you what, if you like that idea, say 2 so that I know you're talking about this video idea. And for anyone who's interested in it, I would say try to send me one and to see if we can give it a go. Okay, Lyle says 2, cool. All right, I see Tina says 2, committed to the shift. 2, Maria, hey Maria, welcome to the channel, welcome to the show. 2, Joan says 2, Andrew says 2. Awesome. Okay, I would say on this, all you guys know, I think that I'm on Facebook as Duane Robert, or you can get through me as Dad Surviving Divorce. You know what I could do is I also could, Shay says, if I did that, I have to put my face on video. I could potentially take the video and blur it out, right? I could do, that news thing. So that's something I could potentially do as well. All right, cool. So I'd like to try to do that. I think that could be an interesting way. It could actually even be an interesting way to start a topic. Like, let's say that this topic came up from somebody with a question. I could have played the video and then structured it. So, yeah. So if you guys have something you want to do, send it to me through Facebook, or email it, or if you can put it on Dropbox or whatever. A blue set. Well, okay. Not on Facebook. Oh, Andrew says, if I'm not on Facebook, how would I send it? Record a short video. Like I said, I tried this once before and the video was like 45 minutes and I'm like, there's no way in hell I can play a 40, oh, I got a new subscriber. If you're on the live stream, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, Andrew, just Dropbox, Google Drive, a bunch of different ways. Okay. All right, let me go back to John's. I think there was one question from tonight. And where the hell did it go? Oh, I missed some comments. Chad says, great stream. Keep up the hard work. You help a boatload of people. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Ooh, Double X says, do a live with couples of all ages and see what advice they give everyone. Perspective is enlightening. I like that. That could be interesting. I'm still trying to look at different ways to try to do some cool things. Actually, what I'm thinking about trying to do is there's a person who I'm meaning to interview who's in Southern California, and I haven't asked you yet. I'm gonna probably try to send the message tonight and say, hey, would you be okay to be a guinea pig for me to come down, film your story, film some B-roll, do an interview, and then package it like a 5 to 10 minute little mini documentary. I so want to do that. I mean, it's just something that I've always wanted to try to do, and I really want to do it. So I'm trying to find somebody on that. And what I will say, let me also say this, for anyone who's interested, who's in the Southern California area, like you're within Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, this other person's actually, I think, down in Orange, but somewhere in that area, who maybe your story could work in that mode. I mean, you're doing something, or you made some progress or something. Send me an email, Duane. I was going to say dad at Duane Surviving Divorce. That's funny. Duane at dadsurvivingdivorce.com. You can also do that through the website. You can hit the contact thing or hit over here to send me a message. You can also send a voicemail there. Oh, on the other thing about the comment, if you don't want to do video, if you do it through, you could do the same thing with audio if you wanted to. You can actually do a 60-second audio voicemail just through the web, right on the right over here. If you click on that, it opens up a dialogue to record. I don't pay for it, so it doesn't give me all the extra features, but it does let people send me voicemails, and I could do it that way as well. And I do appreciate whenever people use that. Normally people are just like, hey, thank you for all the help, that type of thing. But yeah, just send me a note on that. Come back over here, and then there's a fallen. Yeah, so let me prepare it. Okay, so let me grab John's. Where is that? Where did it go? Come on. I like the Oh, Blue says, Duane, I like the podcast you did with the dude on Thursday? No, Tuesday, whatever, Monday. I just can't recall his name. Yeah, that was with, I think you're talking about, no, not that one. I think you're talking about this one, episode number 27 with Chris Butte. I know, so there's a few people who are like, hey, he's a drama channel. Let me just, for a moment on that, just to cover that. Chris and I have been in some other communities. He was around, I think around 10,000. I think we were around 10,000 together. And then he and I are both following these same communities, and we're listening to the same people saying, follow trends, do this, thumbnails, yada, yada, yada. And he got laid off, and he went full in on YouTube. And he exploded. He freaking went from, 15,000 people to over 100,000 people. And then he got himself caught up in some drama. He did it to himself, basically. Partly it was because he was following the algorithm, and he almost undid all the work that he had done. This guy was very similar to me. You know what? I'm just gonna let me just do this real quick. Let me go. And I, I apologize for doing this, but I think it's important just because YouTube is a tough environment to work in. Okay. Now he's got all these videos now where he's talking about, and what he does is he's taking topics and he's trying to relate it to mental health with whatever. And he's doing it to try to drive views, right? It's like, okay, what are people searching on or whatever? But if you scroll down to his back catalog, if we can get to it, Actually, you know what? Let me do it this way. I'm going to come back to the top, and I'm going to say sort by oldest. And he started his channel making simple videos like I did, tried to mess with the thumbnail, and look at this. No views, no views, no views. Great topics, you know, trying to be really helpful. Just very slow growth. Very similar to me. And he was trying to figure out ways to make it better. And he finally, at some point, did, right? I mean, he finally started breaking through the algorithm. He started, he's doing, same thing I've done, all the gurus say, make sure your face is in there, make sure the text makes sense, make sure it's catching, make sure it's this, make sure it's that. He's trying to do all of that. And then he found that if he started talking about drama YouTubers and talking about, hey, this person's doing this, this kind of, this is kind of an example, which is wrong. You shouldn't have done this, but this is an example of this type of behavior. How do you adjust it? What do you do if you see people doing that? What if you see it in yourself, right? And so he exploded. I mean, he was like, oh my God, everyone was, he was making, like one point he gained 30 or 40,000 subscribers in a month. And then everyone's like, who the hell is this guy to talk about this stuff? And it's just, I know the guy. I've talked to him before. We've been, colleagues, and he's got a lot of good information. And I've been meaning, even before he exploded, I wanted to talk to him about addiction and how it comes together with the problem we have. So if you guys haven't had a chance, I hope you look at that. Did you see, Tina said something. Actually, I'm going to just do search on question because I'm kind of losing it. Question. There we go. All right, let me grab John's question. Nope, not that one. That one, okay. All right, and there's two parts to this, so I'm going to grab... And I haven't even read your question yet, so I don't even know what I'm getting ready to talk about. Okay. All right, John has a question. He says, Duane, had a positive drug test a year ago. Been on supervised visits since. Go back to court next week and hope for the best, but understand it's out of my control. A year of clean drug tests, done rehab, exercise all supervised visits for visit times 4 days a week, one time on time with support. Any advice or expectations I can anticipate? Well, John, if everything you're saying is correct, then as long as the supervised visitation is saying that you are fine, they don't see any problems with it, you have a year clean and sober, more than likely things are going to get better. Now, if there's anything that you're not sharing, obviously that could change it. If you're really concerned about it, I would highly encourage you to get with Alex Falcone from the Proper Person YouTube channel. Ping it across him so that way, if something doesn't happen, you can make sure that the judge rules on something that you could potentially appeal. So good question. And I know that doesn't give you a great bit of answer, but with the information that you have, that's about, the idea on this stuff is not to punish you forever. Now, I would say if, I'm assuming you had the positive drug test a year ago, all of this crap happened as a result of that, and now you have 365 days or more showing that you have not had a problem and you're doing everything you're supposed to do. If that's the case, then you should see some positive changes. Now, if in that you had any other drug tests or you had any other problems or you said something that the evaluator, not the evaluator, but the supervisor counseled you on or said, hey, John, you can't say that or whatever, then that's a different story. So it really depends on the specifics. All right, let me scroll down and I'm going to look. I think Tina had a question. Tina, did you see my? All right, Tina, I'm looking for your question, Tina. Missed the question. Okay. Did you see my last comment? Tina, I see you say, did you see my last comment? But your last comment says, LOL, not O. So I don't know what you're asking. So I apologize for that. And that was it. That was the last question. So on that, guys, because we have actually gone on an hour and a half or an hour, 22 minutes. Thanks for hanging out with me on this Tuesday evening. I might do, I'm planning on doing a what do you call it? A brainstorming session. And I mentioned that earlier in the thing. I'm going to announce this on the Discord server, the DSD Discord server. If you're not familiar with that, let me see if I can get back to my channel. If you go to, come on, let me just refresh it. Wait for this to load. If you go to the main channel and come up here, the banner, the Discord server is right here. If you click that, that will give you the invite. If you've already done it, please, please, please do not do it again, because you'll just create another account. If you've already created an account, just go to discordapp.com, I think, and do it that way. Do not create another account, because we have people on there who, we have, Jane 1, Jane 2, Jane 3, and it's the same person. But if you're interested in that, log in or sign up for the Discord server, and I'll announce that later this week. I'm going to try to do a group video conference to where hopefully, maybe 5 or 10 people, maybe a little bit more, can sit down and have a conversation about some things and some ways to try to do some of the stuff we were talking about, and to make some of that stuff happen. And that way I can get some better feedback from you guys. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Measure Twice, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. All that really helps. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For all the people who've been sending, PayPal donations to the channel, thank you very much. I mean, it really means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. I know most of us don't exactly have a lot of money. That's why one of the reasons why I was kind of reluctant to do the coaching thing, but I also need to find a way out of my own hole, right? On that, guys, take care. Remember, there is a way through this. I would encourage you to rewatch this video. If this spoke to you at all, maybe that could really drill it into your head. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Take care. Have a good night.